And Jan from Lukr was one of the presenters, and I'll never forget this. He started his presentation with, I guess technically I'm a sales rep for Lukr, but I like to call myself, I think he said a foam ambassador. And I just typed in the question, like Q, can I customize my own Lukr tower? I can't even remember. I think it was like either a week before or a week after Jackie and I were like, well, we're going on a honeymoon and we're going to Prague. We met with Lukr, and Jan brought out like this beautiful brass tower. I think it's like 150 pounds. I'm pretty sure it's the only one of its kind, because there's a few in Prague, but they only have 4 faucets on them. So we were like, if we get this one, can we get 8 faucets? And he's like, yeah, I'll talk to the engineers, draw something up, and we can make it work. But I think the thing that got me excited was he brought it in. He's like moving it into the room, and he puts it on the table. He's like, some people say this when they see this in their local pub, it's like going to church on Sunday. And I was like, this is what we're putting it right in front of the door when everyone walks in, so they can see it, so they can see their face in the brat. It's like the perfect thing for that tap room.
Welcome back to the BrewedAt podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin, joined as always by Evan Blum. And tonight we have on Brendan Breslin of Wishful Thinking. Out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, but you have like a very connected past to the craft beer scene in and around Philadelphia. You have opened a brewery in Bethlehem, so we just want to get your history and kind of hear about like what Wishful Thinking is, hear about Bethlehem beer scene, and kind of everything else you guys are getting into right now.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome. So, I want to start from the beginning. Like Wishful Thinking is not just some brewery that started this year. Like Wishful Thinking started with you probably, 8 years ago, 10 years ago?
Yeah, 2015, so I guess 9 years ago.
Cool.
I turned 21, and I sent my resume / an email to every brewery in the city. I was a junior, going to be a senior at Temple University. So I sent my resume to probably Yards. I don't even know what breweries existed at that time, but like Manayunk Brewing finally got back to me. They were like, you can be an unpaid intern and come see how it works. So I was an unpaid intern there for about a year, probably like 10, maybe a little less than 10 months. And they were like, we need someone to run logistics and kind of warehouse management and stuff like that. So that was my first like paid job in the brewing industry while I was still going to school. So they really allowed me to like have a part-time role where I could kind of understand like how beer is distributed through Pennsylvania, like all the way to Lancaster, Philly, all the way up to Jersey City. It was great. We were doing like over $1 million in distribution sales a year. Like it was, as a 21-year-old who loved to drink and still party on the weekends, like it was a crazy job to have that.
Where did that come from? I mean, you just decided one day that you wanted to get in craft beer. Were you always into craft beer? I mean, 21, like, it sounds like, I literally had the same 2015. I was 21 years old. Yeah. And I decided I wanted to get in craft beer.
Yeah.
But like, was it just like you wanted to get into it? Like, how did that process, like, you decided this was going to be your career?
So I think there's a little bit of like my whole life in a way, but also then, so like, my dad was a craft beer drinker. He always had Dogfish head around. We grew up near Victory Brewing. My high school was like a 5-minute walk. Not to say I was going there, but it still plays an impact on your life.
Where'd you go?
Bishop Shanahan.
Okay, like 50% of the people that work at Victory Downingtown went to Bishop
Shanahan. And then, Iron Hill, Westchester was a huge location. Back then, we'd go to Iron Hill a few times a year. I have this fermenter on my arm is based on the Iron Hill menu. Plays a kind of big part of my brewing career. But then when I got to college, I was drinking the light beers. I think Milwaukee's Best is one of the beers that stood out to me. That was like looking at them like, how is this made? Like, I need to figure like this out. It's so cool. And then like I remember sophomore year, I started drinking Dogfish Head, like 60-minute, 90-minute. and I got into like their fruited beers and stuff, and I'm like, this stuff is so cool. It's like jam packed with fruit flavor, but it's just like also like a good beer that also, you know, makes you have a fun night and stuff like that. So yeah, kind of that energy and that passion kind of started there. And then once I got to Manayunk, you know, it was great. Like I like could try every beer that was coming out of the tanks. I was part of the canning line, washing kegs, staying late to finish the second batch of brew that day. And then, and then when I got hired, I was like, I just saw how like this, how it, you know, you could make money and you could build this like brand throughout the region. Back then, I mean, brands were taking off like crazy. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm trying to think how many months I wasn't paid employee at Manayunk, but then through jobs to the city, I was able to connect with Ethan Buckman from Stickman Brews, and he was about a year into opening Stickman Brews, and he was dying for help. He was
in Royersford, right?
Yeah, and that was like started like the. I think of it as the start of the boom of craft beer in this area. Like,
what year was that? That was like 2016, 2017.
I got hired at Stickman Brews in February 1st, 2017 was my first day there, I remember him being like, we're sending more kegs out each week. Like I remember one of the first beers I mashed in at Stickman. I was stirring the mash. He goes, this batch is already sold out. And I'm like, whoa, what? Like, this is crazy. Those were definitely the days. Like, it was crazy. Like the line life and the canning, the craze behind the industry at that point was a very exciting thing to kind of witness. Especially when being 22, 23.
Yeah, this is normal, right?
Yeah, right. Now it's like, all right, let's step back and like figure out how to, you know, grow a business from like, you know, not so much hype, but
So you were at Stickman for how many years?
I was there for about 2 years. Then I went to Pottstown United for a year. Pottstown United, I was looking for, you know, a head brewer job they were like, make the beer, whatever you want, as long as it's good, as long as it sells, we're happy. And it gave me a lot of creative freedom. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, you know, recipe development, everything from cellaring to making recipes to ordering everything, and pretty much just grain to glass. I was there from early 2019 to March 2020 when I went back to Stickman because of the pandemic, I saw what was kind of happening, and I thought Stickman was the better employment at that time.
Cool.
Yeah. And then, so me and Ethan, we came back, we talked, and he was kind of willing to give me a head brewer role at that point. He saw what I did at Pottstown, and he was kind of like, I can't kind of like manage day to day at the brewery anymore. I trust you. You know, the recipes that we have. I can trust you with the new recipes, but and he was kind of like, have at it. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had at all times we had two brewers that I kind of managed, and we were rolling. We were cranking out beer for 2 tap rooms in the suburbs, and then those can shops that they opened in the city.
Okay, there's one in Northern Woodbridge for a little bit.
Yeah, and then South Philly on Passyunk right off Passyunk. It was great. I mean, we were definitely cranking out beer, and that's kind of where, I started doing the pizzas as Pizza Bread, the Detroit style pizzas. That was.
And you were selling that at Stickman, right?
Yeah. So kind of the origin story of that is when they started to tell breweries like you need to have a food option. Mm-hmm. I was like, I can make tomato pies. I've been doing this at home, you know. And I think there was an arrangement. They were like, if you make a tomato pie, we'll give you $30 or whatever it was. And so I would like do these tomato pies just so they had a food option. Then I'm like, can I do like a Saturday pizza pop up there? And they were like, yeah, do whatever you want. So I did probably 2 or 3 of those. Then it turned into a normal thing where it was Thursday to Sunday. It was, you know, pizza kitchen service.
And you were making all the pizzas and
tomato pies. I was managing
Brewing.
Sort of. I kind of just had to manage it all, you know, like it was like definitely the kitchen. I think I was more responsible for the kitchen at that point, but I was in charge of the recipes and everything. But there was two competent brewers who was kind of running it, so I just kept an eye on them, and they came to me with any problems or questions, and I was mixing dough while they asked me questions. It was a good gig. I mean, they kind of said like, hey, as long as one of the owners doesn't have to be here, like as long as you're the manager, we know that you're taking care of what you need to take care of. And the pizza, I was able to like run my own LLC off of that. So they were kind of like, we need the food option keeps customers in the door, keeps customers sitting here drinking our beer. So like, this is a good partnership that we're having. It kind of shortly died just because of long hours. And, at that point was when wishful thinking or the idea of opening a brewery was starting to come in conversations with my wife and our investors and stuff like that, where we're like, oh, this building popped up like up where we want to open a brewery, so like maybe we should go tour it and see what the financials are.
What was like you got into craft beer, but what was the idea, like you want to start a craft brewery and now like it's almost like a reality check, like you can run a kitchen, you can run a brewery. Now let's go try to do an actual like full scale brewery and brew pub, or was it like like you were brewing and the pizza came and you're like, wait, what am I doing? Am I basically running a brewery?
Right. I mean, that's a comment. That's a thought I have probably every single day now, where it's very much like I don't run a brewery, I run a restaurant. But I and that's not to say I put a lot of thought into the beers we make. All the recipes are mine, but I think I kind of like have enough history of recipes and things that I enjoyed from the past 8 years that I can look back on and be like, this is what I want to make, or most of it right now is, check Untapped, talk to the customers, talk to these people, and go back to the recipe book and be like, okay, this worked. Let's do this again. Let's do that again. But a lot of my time right now is restaurant heavy, front of house heavy, just because, that's like the most important part of our business is making sure each customer is as happy as they can be in our restaurant. Yeah.
I mean, you as a brewery, you kind of need to have food. It's like It doesn't. When you go to a bar, there's always food.
Yeah.
And like for a brewery to just open up and like not have a food option doesn't really make sense. Like, yes, people don't want to deal with that, but like, you're not able to retain customers or like
keep for sure
in there. But running the kitchen is just as much, if not more, work than running the brewery.
Yeah, for sure.
The margins are less, and it's just like, all right, you're now taking on this monster of this problem,
right?
Just to kind of keep them on. It's like running two businesses just to run one business.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like, I think we have a great staff, and like, we're very lucky where we're at right now. But like this week, our one member is out for the week, and I'm making dough all week and I'm prepping all week. And, luckily I don't have, like last week I had more beer focused things to do, but like this week it's all kitchen, and it's still fun for me. I mean, I think it's kind of like, it gives me that break. Like last week I was 100%. Not in the kitchen. This week I'm in the kitchen. So it's my turn to create the specials for the week. Or, I mean, dough production is like never fun. It's kind of like running a canning line. It's just like, when is this going to be over? Like 80 doughs a day, just patting it out, and it's a lot. But yeah, it's still fun. I mean, like I don't get much time in the kitchen when we're open, and those times can be fun. I mean, some Philly jobs that I had were fast-paced kitchens, and I loved it. But I love to kind of be the middleman between the kitchen and front of house, or be able to like sit down and, if a friend comes in, have a beer with them, but also manage front of house and stuff like that. So it's very enjoyable. I do like, it's definitely a lot to manage both. But yeah, I mean, I think the most important part for wishful thinking is we truly believe what we're doing is very unique. Local flour in the pizza dough. The specials every week are like as local as possible. Like we try like endlessly to like stop at the local butcher and make sure that's the local meat. Go to the local farm stands to pick up those produce, spinach. Last week we had basil and prosciutto and peach and stuff like that, and we just try to keep local. And then it goes kind of like back to the beer, where I think we're really focused on local, and we're producing a unique and quality product.
Nice. I mean, I do want to get into like the fresh ingredients. I think that's like a very unique aspect of Wishful Thinking. But to go back to Stickman, so you were running the food and the beer at Stickman, and then like what happened between there and then
Yes.
Wishful Thinking?
So 2021, we were doing the pizzas at Stickman, and I want to say around March that year, I was, I had a conversation with some of my, like my wife and some other people that we're going to open the business with, and I went back to Ethan and Stickman. I was like, hey, I have some opportunities. Like, I think, I'm not saying like I'm quitting tomorrow, but I'm saying like, I mean, it wasn't like, I felt like it wasn't a surprise. Like, I mean, he knew I went to school for entrepreneurship. He knew I like had this like creative itch that I needed to figure out. And so we had a conversation. It was a good conversation. Like, I'm not the person to like give up, and like, I put my heart into that to Stickman Brews as much as I did the first year I worked there. So then that was kind of the beginning of this long drawn out process to open a brewery. That was March of 2021. We were looking for spaces through Upper Bucks County. My wife and I live pretty much in Upper Bucks County, just across from Upper Bucks County in Jersey. And we were looking for spaces, a lot of the problems up there with septic tanks and stuff like that. It makes it really hard to open a brewery up in that area.
Really? What area? I'm from Bucks County too.
So I'm thinking of like the Pipersville area, so just north of Doylestown. That was like our first location we looked at. Yeah. There was a lot of problems there. And like it was a good business learning, like we were really excited to open a brewery, but then we got nailed with this list of things that were like, this is why you can't open a brewery here. And we're like, wow, we didn't even know this stuff existed. So
until it smacks you.
Yeah, right. And I think that building is in a great spot to open a brewery, but like it just like it probably would have been $1 million job just to fix the septic or whatever it was. So then after that, I kind of took a break from the brewing industry. I left Stickman to work at just like a machine shop. My father-in-law owned it, and it was like a nice break. Like, and it ended up teaching me a lot about, just like precision and like understanding like if you're working on a project.
How to replace pump seals.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like
understand. Think about that. Like when you're a brewer, you're like really a part-time mechanic.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. And it's also like, I don't know. It taught me a lot to just like take a breath and like be like, this is the problem. How am I going to fix it and not just freak out? So about a year into that, we started thinking about the brewery a little bit more again and again. And that's when I saw on Indeed that Tosca was asking for looking for a brewer to help open that spot at the old Earthbread Brewery spot.
Was it Greek?
Albanian
Brewery in Chestnut Hill.
Yeah, so the old Earthbread Brewery spot.
Cool.
It's an awesome system. It's a very old system. I wouldn't say very old in a bad way. It's very old in just a unique way. There's a lot of quirks to it, but
it's very small too, right?
It's basically a 7-barrel system.
Okay.
What's really cool is like when we went in there for the first time, seeing just where the brewing facility is. They have like an overlook almost to this.
Right.
I don't want to say cave. I don't know, but it looks like it's old underground type feel. You actually have to walk down these stairs, and it's cool because they like to show it off at least. To This little brewery though.
It's very interesting. It's a cool spot. It's like I'm the problems that I ran into there, just like with things that. Obviously, Earthbread was closed like about 2 years, and like I thought there's gonna be a million things that were just like not working anymore, and it was still held up. Like I had to replace a few things, but nothing crazy. And I brewed 4. There was 4 serving tanks there, and they were all. The first 4 beers came out great. Like, and I was just kind of riffing on things that like I maybe didn't have a chance to do in my brewing career previously, or things that I thought Tosca and the brand that they wanted to grow thought they would benefit from having on tap, like being a lager. I did like a riff on a cold IPA, hazy IPA, and then a wit beer. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
What was the storage like there? Was that tough for storage in that
like
spot?
You mean dry storage and grain, or like cold?
I guess both. Just like
yeah, I mean the worst part was the Philly basements. They're tough to go down up and down, but you build those slides and you get the stuff down. And then the cold storage, yeah, it was the 4 serving tanks. And then you kind of work with like if the packaging tanks or the serving tanks, like if one gets low, you start kegging the rest. But sometimes it did get a little tight down there, but it's just got to manage it.
Nice. So you were there for what, a year and a half?
Yeah, a little over a year.
And
I believe.
You were kind of writing your business plan, like you were planning all this at the same time?
So during when I was there, my wife Jackie and I were kind of just like looking for things, and we had a lot of tough discussions with people who wanted to offload maybe their business, or people who wanted to just like kind of get out of the industry, and like we ended up buying a good amount of equipment for cheap. That we put that in the storage, and that was kind of when like the clock started ticking. And then that was like May of 2023. And then then around June of 2023, Sam from Bond Place called me and was like, "Hey, I have this other location. I don't know what to do with it." Kind of like we've talked about this a little bit before. Like he's joked around with me about doing stuff there. He's like, "Would you want to do the food there?" And I was like, can I do both? Can I do food and beer? Like, that beer is like my bigger passion. And so that's kind of where our conversation started about renting the Bavarian Tavern from him as Wishful Thinking Brewing. And we signed a lease like that September with them. And we've been working together kind of ever since. Right now, like we're brewing the beers at Bond Place as our own recipes. They allow us to do a lot with the production and everything of it, and
they're brewing the wort, and then you're kind of cellaring.
Yeah, and
that's Human Robot Brews Fermentary Forms wort.
For sure.
They, kind of take the wort and then cellar it.
Yeah.
And kind of create.
Yeah,
wort.
so like it's very much like I've known them since 2018, I guess. Cool. So like we always are going back and forth on things and
speak the same language.
Yeah, and like we're not shy of like stepping on each other's toes or like whatever we need to do to make sure like we're both happy. If I have recipe, they'll follow it right exactly the way I want it. And like if they say I can't brew this week or whatever it is, like we go back and forth and we communicate a lot, and it's a good relationship. It's definitely an interesting one because I don't think a lot of breweries are doing it this way. But and we've talked about that a lot of how we can benefit each other through this cooperative as much as like we can legally, I guess.
Yeah. So you found out like you and Bond Place like decided that like you were going to move in this place, but like to take a step back. Like you were already you had done pizza at Stickman, so that was. What was because you had 2 companies?
So at Stickman they allowed me to manage or take over the kitchen as Pizza Brez, which is a riff on my last name, Breslin.
Like square Chicago style pizzas.
Yeah, we did
Detroit style pizzas.
Yeah, we did 8x10 and 10x14 Detroit style pizzas, and then we had like some sandwich menu. And then when I left Stickman, in the summer of 2022, I guess. Jackie and I started like thinking about like the brewery and like what else. Like it's gonna be a while until we find like the right location. So what are we doing in the meantime? And we came out with Pizza Postco. We were gonna send like we had this itch to be like, what can we like? We need to promote like the local agriculture and the local industry and like the local farmers and stuff. So we started making dough from local flour. At that time, we were using Castle Valley Mill in Doylestown.
It's like Tavor of pizza dough.
Yeah, pretty much. And like we had, and Jackie like had an engraving company, so we were gonna like engrave pizza boards and pizza cutters and stuff, and do this kind of thing. And then we sent out
Is your wife an entrepreneur? I'm sorry, is your wife is an entrepreneur?
For sure, yeah. I mean, she had some corporate gigs when we first met, and she was like, I got. This isn't for me.
Yeah.
And then she worked for a kombucha company right after that when we were living in Philly. I can't remember the name of it, but gave her kind of like that beer sales rep like experience where, like, all right, let me come up with a schedule and like these are the bars or cafes I'm going to hit the whole day, and like she had reports to send back to the owner, and it was like kind of a startup, so it gave her that like that drive to just get out there and try to sell kombucha, which it's pretty interesting. And I was working at Stickman at that time, so yeah, we started talking about like what can we do in the meantime. So we started Pizza Post Co., which was going to mail pizza dough in the mail with like maybe other trinkets and stuff. Like maybe it would be popular during the holidays. And then we sent that first batch of dough out to a friend. I think she was in North Carolina at the time, and it like she received the dough and it was just like splattered in the box. It was just like exploded, and it was like also it was like the hottest day of this.
You need to like transition at this point, like you can send like your friends gorilla poop, like send them an exploding box
right, yeah, just a mushy it's like a spark, like sparkles or whatever.
The glitter.
Glitter. And so we kind of like, all right, back to the drawing board, like what are we gonna do? We already spent like, I mean at that time I think it was, I don't even know how much it was, but like on a logo and stuff like that. But we were like, I guess we got to do this. We got to figure it out. So I was like, people like love pizza at breweries. They love, and like also we have a lot of friends in the brewing industry, and also like a lot of breweries want reliable food trucks. So like, let's just take this mobile. Let's see what we can do. Also, like a lot of people were like reaching out to us on Instagram and be like, you guys the Stickman pizza guys, like when are you coming back to like the Berks or Montgomery County, Berks County area? So we started doing some pop-ups at farms where we'd set up like one or two unis, like the, propane gas fired unis. And we do round pies with our locally made dough, like locally made mozzarella. We'd use First Field tomato sauce from New Jersey.
Is this your first time getting into like locally sourced stuff?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I remember like when I was at Stickman, I started like thinking about it. I'm like, it's cool. It'd be cool to make tomato pie out of just all locally sourced tomatoes and flour. And we didn't do much locally sourced beer at Stickman, but like it was definitely something we did every once in a while. And like the local farmer who picked up, or who was the farm we were taking our spent grain to, was a friend of mine and stuff like that. So then I think we did like, let's say 3 events at these farms, and it was great. Like we would just go in the farm, buy the produce, and then cut it up, put it on the pizza. Like, and we did there was some like days we did pretty good numbers, and we're like, this is great. Like if we can make like a living just doing this is cool. And then kind of I guess brewer friends and people were like, you want to come to our brewery? Like do a pop-up here. So our first brewery pop-up was at Hidden River Brewing, which I don't know if many people don't know about them. They're a machine. Like they're cranking out beer.
The turtle logo?
Yeah. And they're some of the best hazy IPA producers, but they also do lager, saisons, and they're just like the experience there is like incredible. It's right by the creek.
It's one of these like hidden gem breweries that's like not in the city, so it doesn't get as much attention.
Right, for sure. But like it's always still like they're just crushing it. And they're great people, and I've known them. Kevin brought me a growler of like at my first brew at Stickman, and like he's been a friend ever since. And so we went to that, and we knew we were gonna have like a following because it was close to Stickman. So we did pre-orders, and I think we sold maybe like 20 pre-orders. It wasn't like a crazy amount. We thought we could handle it. But then like the line started occurring, and I don't think it was much of like it was the hype behind us. It was Hidden River's crowd, but then also people that were like, wait, you guys are the Pizza Breads people. No, it was a little bit of each, and like I think we sold out in like 25 minutes. Whoa. Like, and like I was kind of like so like, yeah, just ashamed. I was just like,
I forget about hype beer, you guys hype pizza.
Yeah, and I think the wait time was probably like 45 minutes. And I was just like so anxious the whole time. And then we did a few more at Hidden River that were similar to that. We did one in a snowstorm, which was like unbelievable. I don't even know how the pizza's cooked at the temperature, but anyway, I think we were probably using 3 unis at that last event. But then there was like farmers markets we would do. I think we did the Horsham Farmers Market. We did 80 pies in 2 hours in 4 uni ovens. Like it was 95 degrees out, and it was just like we were just cranking out pies, and like people were like coming up to us and like walking into our stand, and we're like, get out, like what are you doing? Like, and I feel like I blacked out for 2 hours, and I was like, oh my god, all the dough's gone. So I think like that says like Detroit style pizzas are very easy to love for sure, but we're also, I mean, I was very proud that we were using all locally sourced flour, and we were using as much local ingredients as possible for special pies and stuff like that. And
can I ask, like, why Detroit style specifically?
Yeah. So
because that seems like a deep cut
for sure. Like, I mean, probably 2000. I don't even know when Pizza Gut was doing his pop-ups at Win-Win Coffee on Spring Garden, and me and Jackie were living at I don't even know where. I was probably living on like down South Philly, and we were probably living in 2 different spots. I don't think we were living together yet, and it became like a bi-weekly thing because like the first time I had it, I was like, this is incredible. And like it was such an experience, and also like that was also like one of those times, kind of like what I was saying earlier about.
I've made pizza in a uni oven, and it's like you were making the Detroit style pizzas in the uni ovens.
Yeah, and so the first day at that Hidden River event, I tested out a method. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wrap it in foil, put it in for like 7 minutes, take it out, take the foil off, and put it back in for another 7 minutes. First one that went in, it just didn't work. So I just took the foil off, put the pan back in, and that was history. And I'm like, these things bake incredible in uni ovens. Who would have thought that this worked? Like, and I was such a lucky, like, especially that night. If that didn't happen, we would have been screwed. But like, then that kind of just like helped us gain. I think Pizza Post Co., which was the mobile food vendor that we did at, we served pizzas at Hidden River, Forest and Maine, Brothers Kirshner, Free Will, Bomb Place. Like we did Bomb Place every Thursday for like 3 months. We did some of their special events too. It was not
a bad way to meet people. Like feeding all
their
guests.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now we have like friends from all those breweries coming up to Wishful Thinking, like sitting down at the bar and thinking about those times of like. And a lot of those events are very successful thanks to a lot of like the reputation behind those breweries. Like we're very like thankful that we were able to reach out to like these respected breweries in the area, and most of the time like sell out every single time. It's great.
Nice. So it went from pizza, and now to jump back to then the present time. Like you guys were talking to Bond Place, and then you guys decided you were going to move into the place. And like when was this? Was like what, late 2023?
So June 2023 was when Sam and I talked on the phone first, and he was like, I want this place to work for someone.
It was late 2023 that you guys talked on the phone for the first time? Because it opened up in April 2024. That seems like a very quick turnaround.
Oh, so yeah, so June 2023, where he was like, hey, and like I was at that location already. I saw what the build-out looked like, and I was like, it was pretty much ready to go in a sense. Like Bethlehem, the city is like tough to deal with, so there was a lot of headaches with like permits and stuff. But
which seems crazy. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Bethlehem is like an old central Pennsylvania steel town.
Yeah,
and the fact that like they wouldn't want some up and coming business, or to like,
right. I mean,
seems kind of crazy.
We had many conversations over that, like the things that they like got us on for, like we're just like, we just want to like, we'll pay you tax, like we're gonna pay you the money, and like we're happy to, we just want to operate. We want to like, I mean at that point I was driving down to Philly 3 times at least a week, and I was just like, I just want to be up here making beer in Bethlehem, and like getting to hang out with Bomb Place most of the week, and like doing just like making pizzas and like opening, and like I don't like, if one of the best things about our tap room is the beauty of what Sam like put into the spot. Like he did all the renovations for the space. And it's beautiful.
Was it before you?
It was like there's pictures online. It's called it was called the Bavarian Tavern.
And it was run by Bond Place?
No. So he bought it in 2018.
And he's the owner?
Yeah, he's the owner of the building. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Sam Masato, he's the owner of Bond Place, and he bought the building to be a production facility and a tap room. And, COVID happened and stuff. And, he was kind of like...
Which one's the spell lager?
That one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So he decided that he wanted to do something else with it.
Yeah. So he kind of came to me. He's like, "What can we do?" He was like, "I don't want to rent this to anyone. I want to rent this to someone who I'm excited for, and I can get behind their brand.
Yeah.
And, we can work together."
Did he want it to be a brewery?
I think he wanted it to be a brewery if they were gonna be collaborators and work with him to And I think one thing kind of with these contract breweries popping up, they're trying to look for ways to open up businesses and save some money or grow a brand before investing too much money, or growing a brand and maybe enough time to get a bank loan or whatever it is to navigate this crazy economy that we're in. And we were kind of well, we have this friend who has this build out already all up and running. Let's work together. And in the early stages, which it was very heavy on I can help produce Bomb Place beer, and we can make sure each brand's benefiting from our knowledge and our skills.
You and Jack, your plan from the beginning, was it an open book, or was it just we know we're opening up a brewery, we're just going through the steps, and then whatever comes, we're just attacking the first thing?
Yeah, it had to definitely be right. And we love Bomb Place, we love Sam. I think a lot of people in the industry would agree that Sam and Bomb Place is I don't know.
It's a great brewery.
But it's a unique experience. I don't think you would go to any other brewery and have the same experience. It's
on the website, you just
some of it's what did I just read? Yeah. But no, I think ever since we went down there in 2018 for the first time, it was such a unique experience. From the beers to the stuff on the walls to Sam's energy when you walk in there, to back in the day, some of the crazy chatter that you would hear over the bar. I think the one time we went out for a concert and we spent 6 hours in the place just drinking Nemo, which is a 3.8% beer. So you just one after another, and you're still just there, you're just hanging out. So yeah, we started that conversation, and we kind of agreed that it had to be as friendly as possible and as beneficial as possible for both parties. And we're still working on making that kind of having that all come to fruition, but it's one step at a time right now.
Sick of your POS system being a POS? POS Specialists, powered by Heartland, have been the experts in cutting-edge POS technology for over 20 years. But they're not scriptwriters, so they let AI write their script. Thirsty for a delicious deal? Feast your eyes on our tastefully crafted point-of-sale system. From order up to cash out, this POS is the coriander spice your brewery needs. It'll have you saying, "Brost." Yikes. See? That's why they have a 24/7 live phone support, not chatbots. Their experienced project managers will program your POS, train your staff, so you can just focus on the beer and not worry about the AI. Ask about their free processing options, handhelds, and online ordering. Email kevin@posspecialists.com. Mention BrewedAt and get $500 off your install. Email kevin@posspecialists.com.
Cool. So that was 2023 transition into 2024.
Yeah.
So how was opening? It was how was that? Was it basically ready to go? You guys just basically slapped your logo on it, or?
Yeah, we definitely we cleaned it up.
And then staffing also.
Yeah.
To go from just nothing to this, how.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of like the marketing, it was very much like Bomb Place would hype us up on their Instagram posts and stuff. So like the local crowd starts to see our logo and see like our faces and stuff, which was a huge help. Staffing kind of really just came naturally. Like we just started getting people like resumes sent to us, and I feel like it was just like the first, like, I don't even know how many people we have there now, like 6 or 7, that like kind of just like all became natural to us, where we have like this great team of people who like really believe in our like what we're trying to do there.
Who was the bartender that was there when I was there? He was the graphic designer.
Oh, John. Yeah, John Blay. Yeah.
So he was doing the graphic design for Chew Nunu, and then he
for
does
sure.
it for some other craft.
Yeah, he just did
Breweries,
Second
right?
District's label, and
cool.
And Yergi Brewing out in Emmaus, I think.
Yeah.
So and like his resume, he wrote this letter about like how much he loves South Philly, and like if like me, like South Philly is like the heart of this world. Like it's my favorite place to go and enjoy a beer and like walk down Manayunk and just like sit at the fountain and drink a cup of coffee. Like, and so when I read that, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like someone played a trick on me. And then like, I mean, everyone else is very much like that in other ways. It's a great group of people who, it's like, I mean, we were able to leave on Sunday, and we were able to take the day off on Sunday and trust everyone in there. And that's not common, I don't like in like only being open less than 4 months, we're very lucky to be where we're at. In regards to like getting our name out there in Bethlehem and stuff like that, like Bomb Place definitely helped. That bar was vacant for what is it? About 6 years. So like people were knocking on the door, asking what's going on and when we're going to be open. And at the end before we opened, we were just waiting on our license from the PLCB, and finally it came through, and we were like, all right, we got 7 days to open.
So what was the opening like? Was it a party? Like, how did you guys plan a party, or like was it a very slow, soft opening? Like, was it just a hard launch?
We wanted it to be like a long, soft opening. We were telling like industry people, like, come on out, like we're gonna do an industry night. And then when it came to like being open, we're like, we have to open now. Like, we need to get the doors open. Like, we need to get money in the bank. So we had like a friends and family night, and then we were gonna like so that Friday, it was April like 27th. It was a Friday. We had friends and family night. Saturday, we had bartenders on staff, but we weren't gonna announce anything. And then we were gonna announce Sunday at like 11, went to open at noon. And then we were all sitting there at like 12:30, and no one was in. No one even like we just put an open flag out, like just to be subtle, because we were like, it's just gonna be chaos, like, and we don't want that, like, because like, I mean, we can get into like how we pour the beers and stuff, but there was a lot of education with our bartenders, and even if like John and a few of our bartenders are very knowledgeable in bartending, but they never poured on a Lukr Faucet before, so we knew there was going to be a lot of challenges, especially even like, I mean, I was a bartender once. A new space, you need to get your muscle memory down. So then Saturday we were like 30 minutes into opening, and Jackie was like, no one's gonna come in, like they don't know we're open. So we posted a simple image that I think is still our most shared image on Instagram today, of just like us cheersing mugs in front of like our logo, or neon light in the back dining room. And I think maybe 15 minutes went by, and people just started slowly trickling in, and then it was 3 weeks of chaos.
Bethlehem just woke up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have a place to drink.
And I like a lot, like those 3 weeks were a blur of just people, like I would set pizzas down in front of people and their eyes would light up, to like just drinking mugs of lager with random people. And it was just such a good time, because I mean, a huge dream of mine is like serving beers in this way with a properly made Detroit style pizza that's like it's tested. We've been doing it for 3 years, so like, or I would say 4 years with like home R&D and stuff like that. It's been
both of your I mean, you literally started started a pizza company before you started a beer company.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of both your passions like colliding.
Right, for sure. And like people would come and like, oh, we've been following you since Stickman, and I would just be like choking up,
crazy,
like, oh my god, thank you for traveling like an hour to see us. Like it's an unreal experience. And then like I remember the one time I was walking in the front of the bar, cleaning up trays and stuff, and my one friend Andrew from Free Will walks in, and I like hugged him. I'm like, sit down. I'm gonna pour you a beer. Like, oh my god, I'm so thankful that you're here right now. Like, I'm like ready to share my vision with everyone else. But then obviously, like it's very exciting. But then you also have to like sit down and like get leveled and figure out like next week and the week after and the week after. And
it's not just a party all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a great feeling it was, I mean, it's still a great feeling, but you got to get off of that cloud at some point.
So the tap room itself is like you have a front outdoor patio section, just kind of right in a residential area in Bethlehem. And then you walk in, it's an enormous, beautiful bar with lots of seating around it. And you have a back area with a stage. And then the tabs are set up just kind of right in front of the center.
Yeah.
And then you have like 8 or 10 just Lukr taps?
8 Lukr taps.
Cool. So your Lukr taps are different than a lot of the Lukr taps. It's like Lukr taps, what I know is like people are like Lukr taps and like side pull taps. Kind of the same thing. But you look at yours and it's just like a straight up pull over Lukr tap.
Yeah.
It's kind of a different style than what you're used to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, so Lukr has been like a passion of mine. Like it's taken over.
Let me ask you this. I'm like, as the host of this craft beer podcast, I don't have no idea anything about it. Lukr Taps, is that a company?
Yeah, Lukr is a company in Pilsen.
I'm glad it's not only you.
What?
I'm glad it's not only me.
It's funny because I'm such a fan. I'm like such a fanboy, and I mean, we'll get it. I can tell the whole story, but we started Wishful Thinking from the years of like 2021 to 2023, I guess.
Yeah.
Was like, all right, we're gonna do like hazy IPAs and we're gonna do lagers and we'll have a Lukr like tap set up, but like we're also maybe gonna do like fruited seltzers and like more modern day stuff and very much based on like the beer industry during COVID or like maybe right before COVID. And then
the industry is very much like, do you want a traditional style lager that's been brewed for 800 years?
Yeah.
Or do you want a smoothie?
Yeah, right. I mean, we still get that. Yeah, like there's a lot of people asking us like, are we gonna brew this? Are we gonna brew this? And I'm like, we're trying to catch up on the production that we already like need to get. Like our lagers and stuff are selling really well, so we need to like make sure that doesn't, we always have like our flagships on at all times. But then, like I guess summer 2023. No, so August 2023, a year ago, my wife we got married, and I remember thinking afterwards like we're not gonna honeymoon, like we're opening a brewery in like 8 months or less than 6 months or whatever we thought at that point.
What's better than this?
Yeah.
A brewery.
Yeah, like we don't have money, we don't have this. We're like we need to focus. Like what happens? Like what if we go away for a week? Something could blow up. Like, so then I got an invite, or I forget how I found out about this hops and stuff webinar about the Czech Republic brewing. And I'm like, I'll check it out. Like, I'll watch some of these webinars. And Jan from Lukr was one of the presenters, and I'll never forget this. He started his presentation with, I guess technically I'm a sales rep for Lukr, but I like to call myself I think he said a foam ambassador, or like I forget what the exact word he used, but it was like he was just like, I just love talking about foam, and I was like,
foam is forget it was the IBU wars 10 years ago.
Right.
It is the foam wars right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone's making traditional style lagers with the milk pour foam.
Right. And then so I was like really nervous when he was presenting, and I just typed it in the question like queue, can I customize my own Lukr tower? And his response was like, yeah, just email me. Like we can do anything we want. Like just we'll talk. So I can't remember. I think it was like either a week before or a week after. Jackie and I were like, well, we're going on a honeymoon and we're going to Prague and we're going to see what it's all about. Because I was like, I want to see if what like my passion, like, because you know, like, I don't know, like if you go see your favorite band and they weren't like not as good as you thought, like I wanted to see what the Prague and the Czech drinking culture was like, and see if we could do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So we went to Prague. We had like a 36-hour trip to Pilsen on the train. We met with Lukr, and Jan brought out. He was like, "What do you guys want?" We're like, "We want like 8 taps. We don't know what. Like we're open to anything. Just like give us ideas." And he brought this tower that we have in our draft or in our tap room now, and. I mean, if you're watching this podcast, look at pictures. I'm sure there's one on our Instagram. And it's like this beautiful brass tower. I think it's like 150 pounds. And it's, and I believe, I'm pretty sure it's the only one of its kind because there's a few in Prague, but they only have 4 faucets on them. So we were like, if we get this one, can we get 8 faucets? And he's like, yeah. I'll talk to the engineers. They'll write you up, they'll draw something up, and we can make it work. But I think the thing that got me excited was he brought it in. He's like moving it into the room, and he puts it on the table. He's like, some people say this when they see this in their local pub, it's like going to church on Sunday. And I was like, this is what we're putting it right in front of the door when everyone walks in, so they can see it, so they can see their face in the brat. Like it's like the perfect thing for that tap room, especially because like our tap room has like a nice brass and bronze bar top that like I was like, this is perfect. Like there's no way we can't buy
it's
this.
like enormous kind of like U-shaped.
Yeah. Like there's so much like I was like, just a regular draft system is just not going to cut it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially like. Talking like Sam is so attention to detail, and like he has so much vision for everything he does, and I like to make him proud almost. I was like, this has to go in here. So then we spent like pretty much the whole day in Pilsen with Lukr. They have a certification class that we didn't take, but they gave us like a crash course, like a 3-hour long course. We went out to lunch with Jan, and like it was such like a cool experience to like learn the ins and outs of like if like order a schnit, like which is a way of pouring in the Czech Republic and stuff like that.
Jan needs a pay raise, by the way.
Yeah.
So like, who's selling draft equipment that has like started a revolution? Like I don't know if it's him or somebody else, but like something happened and we're like, everybody's using Lukr taps.
Yeah. Yo, it's crazy. I mean that's a huge part of, I think, what makes us a little different, because Jackie and especially I think we both do a really good job, but I like take the pouring so seriously, because I tell a lot of the
like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it's just like glass is important. Like everyone knows glass is important now, but like what's the next step to like make it better?
Yeah.
And like pouring is like that.
I mean, that's, if you ask me like what I think about the most in our recipes or like processes, I'm like, foam stability is the only thing that, like, I mean, I love like the aroma in IPAs and making sure that's amplified, and like obviously the lagers, but like I love the idea of our lagers because it's, as long as there's local malt, there's not much tweaking involved in each recipe.
Are you using any different ingredients? I know you guys are using.
Yeah. So right now,
and it's.
Yep.
I will say, like the local malts, I think technically they have more protein, because like mass-produced malts like, tend to have less protein, so the easier process. I think the local malts have more protein, which creates a better head. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, and so we use Rabbit Hill malt. Yeah. We use double Eagle malt.
Yeah.
And we just went up to Hudson Valley and got Hudson Valley malt, which Hudson Valley malt's like so passionate about making sure that their malt's like fresh as can be when it gets to your brewery, and like their protein levels and just like their quality of like the color and everything in their malt is like perfect and up to their standards. And they are texting me along the way. They're asking me like, let me know when you brew, so you tell me like what it tastes like, and they're like, you better send us pictures of that like foamy glass, like we want to see it. So they're like super proud of their product. And I mean, New York's agriculture, like that whole, like through, I think Cornell and like finding out that about like all this grains that like can only survive in the New York climates and stuff like that. And like, it still goes over my head, and I try to make sure I learn as much as possible.
Do you have any issues using the local malts? Because in my understanding, it's like from what I think is the larger the malt house is like, it's almost like better quality, because like the way I think about malt is like almost like the palate. Like I just want like a blank palate or something that then I can just like put other flavors like hop flavors on. But do you have issues with inconsistencies or anything else? Because that's the biggest issues I think with malt houses. Like because malt equipment is so expensive. Yeah. It's hard for smaller malt houses to make consistent malt. But do you guys have any issues with that?
So, like, I'm not going to say we don't, because Census Source, we just brewed the third batch, which is all double eagle malt. And then it's a variety of local hops. Yeah. And then Worthwhile, we have 2 batches, which both are Rabbit Hill Pills with some double eagle Munich. And then we use local hops in that. I would say there's some consistency, like variations with the batches. I can't say if that's like the malt per se, or just like, different fermentation, or maybe different hops and stuff like that.
And what's your beer kind of spread like? Are you guys making new beers all the time, or is it kind of the same?
So we have Census Source, which is like technically our 12 Plato lager that is our like Pilsner Urquell. That we're super proud of. The first batch used New Jersey nugget hops from a place in Flemington. And then this batch that we have on now is awesome, but it uses New York Cascade, which is like pretty aggressive. Like, I mean, I love New York Cascade in like IPA or like cold IPA.
What does it taste like? Just like traditional?
I mean, the first time I used it, I was like thinking like Sierra Nevada Celebration. Like it's like super piney, like super dank, and it's funny. Yeah,
terroir is so strong in hops. And it's like people would think about like terroir and grapes. Terroir and hops is almost like the same hop on the West Coast versus the Midwest versus the East Coast. It's like it completely flips. Like it does a 180. It goes from like super fruity to super piney.
Yeah. And I don't like this Cascade is like super piney. Like, and I like told when I did collab with Hidden River, like we were doing a double West Coast IPA. I'm like, can we just use this New York Cascade? Like, I'm telling you, like this is the secret hop to use right now. But also this New York Nugget from New York Hop Guild. It's like, I don't know, it's just so good. And like,
that's so funny because like I know it's good. Like these old school hops are like they just keep making them better and better.
Yeah.
And it's like the craft beer industry for like years. It's just like let's get the Citra, let's get the HPC 586. It's my favorite hop. But like all these cool new hops, but like people are forgetting like these old school hops. They've been making them better and better, but nobody's talking about how great they are.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that like the industry is now realizing that like these old school hops. So like how is this new hop that you just created supposed to be better than this other hop that you've been like refining for the last 30 years?
Yeah, and I mean like even like the first batch of Census Source and Worthwhile, we got hops from Flemington, New Jersey, at Sky High Hops, which is just like a couple. It's like a couple, and then like their parents and just like trying to start a hop farm on this like equestrian farm, and like I was like, all right, I knew like these first 2 batches of lager were just like if they're bad, it's not to say anything bad about them, but I'm like I just like like local hops sometimes can go like all over the place, and especially like local malts. Like I'm just a brewer. I never went to like brewing school. I didn't like study bio or anything. Like I don't know. Like I just like know that if you put grain in hot water and you can make a mash, and when they came out and like I spun all the beers, and I think that's a big part of like the foam retention and stuff. But like when the beers came out, I'm like, oh my God, like these are so good. Like it was kind of like, it was like, I was like stunned. And then, so when I started pouring Census Source on draft, which is supposed to be our like Pilsner Urquell, like 12 Plato, like lager that was like the base of our company, I'm like, this nugget hop smells like Saaz, and it's like crazy how like similar they are. And I'm like, this is all luck, like right now. Like, but it's also like because we decide to trust the local agriculture.
I mean, it's a true American lager.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, because like a big part, it's like Lukr was a huge part of the trip to the Czech Republic. But then the next day we went to Pilsner Urquell, and they talked about how Pilsner Urquell was based around local agriculture of Saaz and Czech malts, and like they wanted to show off their local agriculture.
The secret, it's not just chasing the trends, like chasing whatever they're doing.
Right.
They're just talking about focusing on whatever the local things are.
Right.
You're focusing on the local things, and like you're probably closer to what they are than like these people that are trying to copy them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think our sense of source, it's like a malty backbone that some Czech lagers like kind of like they forget about it, and like their recipes, and it's like I feel like it's supposed to be like a malty backbone with like this aggressive hoppiness. And yeah, I think we're pretty close to like nailing like that recipe. I mean, we do like change it up a little bit. Like with the New York Cascade, it's like super piney, but like the consistency part, I probably won't use New York Cascade in Sense of Source again. But like, I don't think I'm like upset with it because it's also like showing off what New York hops are tasting like.
But it's part of craft beer also. It's just like this sense of coolness and uniqueness. And
right.
Freshness.
Right. Yeah, and I mean,
or experimentation.
Yeah, it's still a cool beer, and we haven't gotten many complaints about it. I mean, some people say it's too bitter, and I say that's how we like it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, do a true pilsner.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. So I mean, I think we're over our time limit. Can you talk about like where Wishful Thinking is now, what the future is, and just kind of like like we talked about like how you got here, but like
for sure.
I don't know, like I think from now everyone's like say like wait, where's Wishful Thinking going? Like from here, what's happening? Yeah,
so Wishful Thinking, we're doing a lot of taproom sales right now. I mean, we're 100% taproom sales, but not much takeout right now. But we're hoping to expand that very soon. Still doing pizzas. If you live in Bethlehem or even outside of Bethlehem, we have plenty of seats inside a taproom. But we also are trying to promote our takeout and stuff like that. And hopefully once cans are available, that'll be a bigger part of our business. We don't have much like distribution plans right now, but we're hoping to like, start to like go to like push out to our friends' places or like local places that we respect to just, have a draft line. And we're still just going to like keep on brewing with local malts and local hops and see where that takes us, and pushing kind of like our hoppy beers and seeing what flavors we can get out of those. And yeah, I mean, obviously with the Pennsylvania licenses, we were hoping to open a second location maybe one day. But a huge part is just making sure people get like that proper pour of lager. And I mean, we pour all the beers with a proper head of foam. And very soon we'll be, I don't know when this is, I forget when this is supposed to come out, but
probably
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. But like first week of October, supposedly Lukr is coming to do an East Coast tour. So it'll be a lot of fun to have our, supposedly stopping at us, Human Robot, Wild East Brewing, and Alternate Ending Brewing. So they're going to be doing a lot of training, and hopefully that like shows in, what we're trying to do. We respect the hell out of it.
It's kind of showing that like the people that Lukr's talking to, like these are all places that are doing incredible. Like Wild East kind of like, everybody was opening up in Williamsburg, and then Wild East just showed up and they were like, no, we're actually very cool. Also.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just like took over everyone's attention.
Yeah.
And Alternate Ending is just like, the belle of the ball in North Jersey.
I've not been there. I want to check them out. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we keep on producing like as much lager as we can, but also like, I mean, hazy pale ale is definitely like a huge part of our business model and something that we love drinking like on the river or on a sunny day. So we're just trying to like, make good beer produced by local malts or from local malts and poured properly, but also being served with a nice Detroit style pizza.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's not much better than that.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time.
Cool. Do you got anything else? I mean, I feel like we could keep going. Like I think your story is like we talked nonstop for an hour.
Yeah.
And I think like your story's like almost just beginning. It's like we've reached chapter 1. Like the preamble is done. Like let's figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome to hear your story and like next year, the year after, kind of see how this unfolds.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Super cool to watch like every piece of where you began to like just kind of add up to where you're at.
Yeah.
Really fun to like just
very exciting.
It's wishful thinking. Yeah. I don't know.
It's funny.
Thanks for having me. That's great.
So we can find Wishful Thinking on social media at Wishful Thinking, at Wishful Thinking Brewing.
At Wishful Thinking Beer on Instagram and Facebook, and wishfulthinkingbeer.com.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of check our website out. Whatever. Yeah, you find a lot of information about our ethos and stuff. Jackie does a great job on our website.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shout out Jackie. Next time we'll have both you guys on.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And you can find us at the BrewedAt podcast and at BrewedAt on all your social media platforms. Make sure you like and subscribe, especially subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, go on YouTube.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.